Block 1 of 9 intro. You have carried this weight for too long. Each morning you wake to the quiet tally of balances and interest rates, but deeper than the numbers is a steady pressure on your chest, a weight that has shaped your choices, your sleep, your prayers. Today, hear this. God is saying now that the season of carrying this burden is ending. You try to manage. You negotiated, postponed, endured. You made plans and reworked them a dozen times. Some battles, however, are not meant to be won by will alone. Some doors require divine movement. Where your ways ran thin, His intervention begins to move, gentle at first, then unmistakable. Slowly, the strain begins to loosen. Amounts that once seemed immovable start to shrink. Agreements form where conversations felt impossible. Doors you thought closed open a crack, then wider. Unexpected provision arrives in quiet, steady ways. You may not yet see the whole path forward. You might not understand all the calculations, but you will recognize the signs of release. A call that changes your schedule, a check you didn't expect, a mercy that feels like rescue. This is not a reckoning or punishment. It is mercy. It is a restoration of your mind and heart. The debts that have defined your worry are not the measure of your identity. You are not the sum of past mistakes. The future that felt tethered to yesterday's balances is being rewritten. Clarity returns. Peace returns. A calm stability settles into spaces that were once frantic. Prepare yourself to feel a weight lift from your shoulders. Breathe it in. Let it change the way you see tomorrow. Receive this word not as a promise of instant perfection, but as the beginning of a new season, hope, order, and renewed control. What would you do first if that weight were truly gone? Share a brief, honest thought in the comments. Stay with me. In the next video, we will look for the first sign that the release has begun. You have carried this weight so long that it feels like part of your skeleton. It shapes your posture, the way you make decisions, the hush around your conversations. But today, something different begins. Not with clamor or hurry, but with a gentle unfastening. Knots loosening you didn't know were tied so tight. At first, the changes are small. A number on a statement that no longer looms as large. A conversation that becomes an agreement instead of an argument. A door opening you had resigned to be forever closed. These are not accidents. They are soft, unmistakable nudges of mercy, the divine moving where you could not. You will recognize them if you watch with a quiet heart. Listen for the subtle shift inside you. Where anxiety used to grip, curiosity nudges you instead. What might be possible now? Where shame kept you in shadow, a light of clarity begins to illuminate choices. This restoration is not about punishment or revisiting failures. It is about freedom, the freedom to breathe, to plan, to hope again without the weight bending every decision. You may not see the full map yet. You may still be sorting through papers, calls, and decisions. That is okay. The work of release often looks like small, steady unburdenings rather than dramatic endings. Trust the rhythm. Trust the timing. Allow yourself to feel the relief in your chest, the easing of that tightness behind the ribs. Let it tell you that you are not defined by past balances or yesterday's mistakes. Receive this as a promise and as an invitation. Walk into your days differently, making room for peace and clarity. Notice the signs. Name them when they come. Keep your eyes open for provision that arrives in unexpected ways. Curious, what little sign of release have you been noticing lately? Leave a brief comment with one word or a short thought about what you're letting go of today. In the next video, we will explore how to steward this new freedom so it lasts. You have been carrying it so long that it braided itself into your walk, into the way you plan, into the hush before sleep. Now you begin to sense a shift, not sudden fireworks, but the careful loosening of a knot you thought permanent. A number that once loomed large on a statement starts to feel smaller. Conversations you feared become calm negotiations. Doors you had shut in your mind open a crack, and through that crack comes a provision you did not schedule, a help you could not engineer. This is not a lecture about budgets or a formula for faster repayment. It is a whisper of mercy that rearranges what you cannot rearrange on your own. You may not see the final ledger cleared. You may not yet know every pathway out. But you will recognize relief. Your chest unclenching, your thoughts clearing, the ability to sleep without replaying last month's balances. There is a restoration happening that operates beyond interest and spreadsheets. a restoration of your capacity to breathe freely and make choices without the constant shadow of what's owed. Feel the slow cadence of this promise as it meets you where you are. Allow yourself to notice the small restorations first. A call that changes an arrangement, an unexpected check, a conversation that shifts a stance. These are not coincidences. They are markers of a larger unburdening. It is neither punishment nor appraisal. It is grace, returning to you what you presumed lost, peace, dignity, and a horizon that is not dictated by yesterday's mistakes. You are not your ledgers. You are not defined by what was deferred. A new season is approaching in which clarity finds you. Stability becomes a companion, and hope reshapes your decisions. Receive this gently. God is ending the debts that have kept you small, and He is opening a season where you can step forward with renewed courage. What single sign of release would you notice first in your life? Leave a brief reflection below, one sentence about what freedom would look like for you. And join the next video to explore how this promise begins to unfold practically. You have carried this weight so long it has become part of your posture. The small, constant pull at your shoulders, the quiet calculation that greets you each morning. You learn to live with it, balancing bills, rearranging due dates, bargaining with late notices. You became very good at carrying what you were never meant to hold alone. Now listen, there is a gentle shift beneath your feet. A movement that did not come from your own cleverness. It feels like an invisible hand easing the straps, an accounting that proceeds without your frantic oversight. Amounts begin to shrink in ways you can't fully explain. Conversations that once shut doors now open them. Unexpected provision arrives in small, undeniable confirmations. A call, a settled invoice, a kindness that looks like answer. This is not a tally of failures. This is mercy. God is not reminding you of every misstep to condemn you. He is tracing a path back to your freedom. What feels like a slow unburdening is actually a reweaving of your days. Clarity replaces the fog of worry. Peace settles where tension lived, and the map ahead becomes steady and legible. You will not have to reinvent yourself overnight. You are being allowed to breathe, to make decisions with a clearer heart. Pay attention to the signs, not because they are dramatic, but because they are tender. A lowered interest, a reconciled account, a door you thought sealed. These are small miracles that point to a larger work. Receive this as a declaration. The season of debt defining you is ending. You are not bound to yesterday's ledgers. Your future is being unburdened so hope can be born again. Imagine, just for a moment, what it would feel like to make choices from peace instead of panic. What would you do first with that freedom? Share one word below that captures what you feel as you hear this. Relief, hope, cautious, grateful, whatever comes. Stay with that feeling. And join me in the next video where we will explore the first practical steps God is inviting you to take into this new season. You have carried this weight for so long that it has become part of your posture. How you wake, how you plan, how you apologize in your own head. But listen, the atmosphere is shifting. Something quieter than a courtroom, something softer than negotiation, is intervening on your behalf. You begin to notice small mercies first. Statements that once screamed at you become manageable. Calls that felt like threats return to ordinary conversation. Paperwork that chained you gets answered in ways you hadn't imagined. This is not a sudden erasure of consequence, but neither is it an arithmetic punishment. It is a dismantling by grace. Debts that defined your day are losing their claim on your mind. The numbers on a page no longer decide your value. Doors you thought locked open a crack. One conversation, one letter, one unexpected ally. And through that crack light comes in. Provision arrives from sources you did not plan, aligning with prayers you whispered at midnight and with decisions you made in small faith. The relief is both practical and spiritual. Bills recede, stress loosens its hold, and your heart remembers how to breathe. As the pressure releases, clarity returns. You begin to see choices with new eyes. What once required desperation now invites wisdom. Stability does not arrive all at once, but step by faithful step. Reduced balances, agreements that make sense, opportunities to rebuild. Each small victory is a stitch in a larger garment of restoration being woven around you. You are not a ledger. You are not defined by what you owe or what you failed to do. Mercy is rewriting your narrative. Receive this. The season of carrying is ending. Prepare for a gentler rhythm. Expect pockets of peace and the surprising arrival of help. Let hope grow in the spaces once occupied by fear. What is the first sign you have noticed that something is changing for you? Share it below. Your insight may be the confirmation someone else needs. Stay with this unfolding. In the next video, we'll walk through the practical steps to steward this release, turning relief into lasting freedom. You have carried this weight for so long that it has become part of your posture, an invisible ledger that shapes every decision. Now, slowly, God is unfastening that burden. It does not come as a sudden storm, but as a gentle, deliberate loosening. Numbers begin to shrink, agreements settle into place. Doors you assumed closed open in soft, unlikely ways. You will feel the strain ease first as a small relief in your chest, then as a steadying of breath, until the heaviness is no longer the first thing you notice each morning. This is not a ledger being rewritten to condemn you, but mercy making room. The divine hand is not interested in shaming your past. He is restoring your capacity to hope. Expect practical shifts. Debts that seemed immovable come down through unexpected provision, through people who step forward, through terms rearranged that once felt impossible. Expect internal shifts too. Clarity replaces panic, patience replaces frantic control, and an inner budget of hope begins to guide you instead of fear. You may not yet see the entire plan, and that is all right. The promise is in the signs, a call that resolves, a creditor's tone that softens, an unexpected check, a door that opens. Notice the small mercies and give them room to grow. Receive the truth that your identity is not balanced on past mistakes or yesterday's figures. You are not defined by what you owed. You are being defined by a mercy that is larger than any statement. Take this slowly. Let the breath of these words settle into your bones. Let the idea of release feel true even before every account is clear. Curiosity. Which sign would feel most like a miracle to you? One small payment removed, a new source of income, a changed heart about money? Comment below with the first thing your heart believes could lift now. Reflect honestly. What would you do if the weight were truly gone? In the next video, we will walk through how to recognize and receive the specific openings God is sending in your finances. Stay with this unfolding. You have leaned into this burden for so long that it became part of how you measured every day. Bills were the rhythm of your mornings. Worry was the quiet companion of your nights. But now the script is changing. In places where you ran out of answers, a tender, sovereign movement begins to rearrange circumstances in your favor. The pressure that once sat heavy on your chest loosens, not all at once, but like a knot finally learning to unwind. You will notice the small things first. An unexpected call that shifts a negotiation, a number on a statement that reads differently than last week, a door that had been firmly shut easing open. These are not coincidences. They are fingerprints of mercy, gentle alterations designed to set you free. They do not erase the past, but they reframe it. Where shame tried to define you, grace is writing a new margin that holds space for wisdom and fresh decisions. Allow yourself to breathe into this change. Let your shoulders sink. Let the noise of fear quiet long enough for clarity to return. You are invited to step out of survival and into stewardship, not because you earned this relief, but because you are being given a second beginning. Stewardship now looks like gratitude first, clarity second, and choices made from a place of peace rather than panic. There will be practical work ahead, conversations to have, priorities to realign, boundaries to set. But those tasks will be performed with a lighter heart. Safety returns. Sleep becomes possible. Vision returns. And in the quiet mornings that follow, you will remember why you were made for more than debt and worry. Curiosity. What would you do tomorrow if a weight you've carried for years began to lift today? Reflective comment. Share one honest sentence in the comments about how this season of release would change your daily life. Next video. In the final blocks, we'll explore practical steps to steward this freedom, spiritual disciplines, and financial habits that keep the new season grounded. Don't miss it. You have carried this load longer than you should have. It has sat on your heart like a quiet, heavy cloud, pressing on your breath, shaping your choices, coloring quiet mornings and late nights. For too long you learned to live around it. Budgeted, postponed, promised yourself tomorrow. But today, a different narrative begins to take shape. Slowly, Gently, not with frantic rearranging of numbers, but with a soft, sovereign movement. Amounts begin to shrink. Agreements you prayed for start to emerge. Doors you thought sealed open a crack, then wider. Unexpected provision appears in ways that do not follow your plans, and yet they fit you like a hand finding its home. You may not see the full map yet. You may not have the receipts for every miracle, but you will recognize the signs: relief where there was tension, clarity where there was fog, room to breathe where there was only cram. This is not a review of past failures. It is mercy moving into your story. It is divine economy over your fear of lack. Imagine waking with a lighter chest. Imagine making decisions from rest instead of panic. Imagine your days defined by purpose again, rather than by yesterday's balances. That restoration is arriving, not as punishment, not as a lecture, but as a healing touch. Receive it slowly. Let your shoulders fall. Allow your mind to stop calculating every worst case. Stand in the quiet and feel the shift. Gratitude will open doors you did not expect. Trust will clear the fog. Peace will rearrange priorities and call back what anxiety stole. Curiosity: what would be the first thing you do when that weight is gone? Share one honest, simple answer in the comments. A word, a hope, a single step. Your reply could be the prayer someone else needs to hear. When you're ready, come to the next video. We'll walk together through practical steps and a short prayer to steward this new season well. You have walked under this weight long enough. Feel it now, the slow loosening, the breath that comes deeper as a knot begins to unwind. It is not your grit alone that shifts these burdens. It is a hand greater than your worry, moving in quiet mercy to unfasten what is pressed on your heart. Watch for the small mercies first: a call that settles a worry, a piece of unexpected provision, a door that eases open where you had only seen brick. These are not accidents. They are footprints of a new season. You may not yet see the total picture. You do not need to. The promise is not that every number will be erased instantly, but that the chains that made you live by them are breaking. Peace returns in increments, in clarity at dawn, in a night of sleep that is truly rest, in conversation that redirects your path. This is not judgment. It is release. It is God untangling what you were never meant to carry alone. Receive this as a declaration over your finances and over your spirit. The chapter defined by debt and shame is closing. A different chapter waits, one where choices are made from rest, where hope replaces panic, where stewardship is guided by calm rather than crisis. Let curiosity rise within you. What might change if you believe this was already beginning? What would you do differently today? Share one honest sentence below about what this promise stirs in you. A single reflective comment can mark the first step of your faith in action. When you're ready to go deeper, come to the next video. We'll explore gentle, practical steps that align with this season of release, prayers, mindset shifts, and small habits that invite steady restoration. For now, breathe, trust the release, and leave a comment. Tell us what freedom feels like, even before it is complete.